Andrew, how excited are you?
I'm so excited. In fact, we're so excited. We're here at the LA Film Festival premiere of Pedro Almodovar's new movie. I'm so excited.
Now, this is the first kind of broad comedy he's made in some time,
In
almost
a long
20
time.
years.
Really, the last one was A Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown in the 80s, and he's been doing kind of serious melodrama since then.
Yeah.
And really nothing has been as broad or slapstick. It's really a first in terms of slapstick form.
Yeah, so we're really curious to see if it kind of translates to American audiences. We know that it killed
Right.
in Spain.
Yes, yes. And he's been quoted as saying it's the most political and the most local, and by local we just mean Spanish, the most local film he's done. So that's really going to be, and what you were saying, interesting to see if that does translate for us.
Yeah.
This is the first time Movie Clips has done something like this, so we better not screw it up. I'm getting all nervous. Ryan's playing Tetris.
I'm not playing Tetris.
Yes, he
I'm
is.
taking footage and I'm researching it for you.
Over there is Del Toro completely bypassing the red carpet to go talk to his fans. Now that is a class act.
The film is about four mates that work in this very popular sex motel in Santiago. And it's the girls that, it's mostly that they reflect about love in this non-lovable environment.
At the LA Film Festival, there's a wide variety of films. What films are you looking forward to here?
We are hoping to see many documentaries.
Yes. This, the act of killing, I heard it was very good. There's this Alan Berliner, first cousin was removed. And there's Rain, about two Belgians that we met here in the festival that we're very excited to see as well.
So what brings you to the Los Angeles Film Festival?
What brings me is a documentary called Lynn Fowkes' One Man Band. You know this, I'm guessing by your face.
I saw this movie.
You saw it?
I saw this movie, yeah. I'm going to review it, and it's very positive, believe me.
Oh, wonderful.
I was enchanted with this documentary.
You know, sorry as I fix my bra strap.
That's
You're one of maybe 14 people who've seen it. Lynn Fowkes is an absolute iconoclast. He is an incredibly gifted painter, and he's an incredibly gifted musician, having built that giant one-man band machine that he plays and performs on.
Which he doesn't allow anybody else to play.
No one's allowed to touch it, except for him.
Right.
That's right.
So as I recall, it spreads from his life from like 70 to 77. You must have been filming this for a long time.
We did follow Lynn for 7 years, from age 70 to 77, not full-time, we both have other jobs, but it was really satisfying because the story evolved and unfolded to us. Little things like he spent 8 years on one painting, then he spent 21 years on another painting. These things slowly were revealed to us while we were wondering why he wasn't getting his due, because he was making other work, but the world just wasn't quite attuned to Lynn Fowkes.
And one thing I found that was really brilliant with the film is how the gallery openings act as act breaks throughout the film, and they're received all differently from the art community and from Lynn and his family and everything like that. So I'm wondering, did you know that was going to be the way you were going to structure the documentary?
You know, it's so interesting. We started just filming him finishing that giant painting, The Lost Frontier, which is now owned by the Hammer Museum, but took years to find a home. We started filming him. We were making a short film that was going to play with it when he finished it and just run on a loop in the gallery in New York, and then it eventually ran on a loop in a gallery in LA as it tried to find a home. That's what we thought we were doing. So we finished filming. We filmed him for a couple months as the countdown happened. And then I said, to my partner, Chris, maybe we should go to New York. Well, Chris had to work because he works production sound. And I was in between jobs. So I said, look, I'll scrape together the money. We'll follow him to New York. It'll be huge. We should see him, getting all these accolades. In New York, he hasn't shown in New York for 15 years. It'll be great. So we go there and I hire a camera person and I figure out how to do the sound. And no one shows up for his show. So we came back and thought, okay, there's a bigger story here than we realize. This is a lot more. We need to do some exploring.
Right. And he's so unhinged and in times neurotic, like many artists are. And at times he kind of says, don't film me, don't show me this, don't do this. Was there a lot that you had to hold back? Because it seemed completely unedited. It just seemed like he was pouring his heart out.
Oh, good. That is actually the reality. He is uncensored. The few times he said, I don't want to talk, he told us, or if we asked a question that he didn't like, he told us, but it was rare over the 7 years that we followed him.
I imagine. Well, you did a really wonderful job.
Thank
You
you
should
so
be
much.
very proud of that
Tell me
film.
your name?
Andrew.
Andrew.
It was
Nice
a
to
very
meet you.
fantastic. I went to art school, so I was just all about it. It was very much like a portrait of artists that you don't see in many films. And
Why
I'm
is
very,
that? I know the answer.
Because they don't want to show that, I imagine.
Well, there's the other side of it. They're very successful artists, and it's not an interesting story.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's very true.
So we knew we had an interesting story because he's incredibly talented and unsung, and that speaks for so many people, not just artists, filmmakers, musicians. I just saw that incredible documentary, 20 Feet from Stardom, about the backup singers. You know, any one of them could have been a superstar, but they weren't.
Yeah.
And that's what the film explores. And I just think that that's so important for all of us to see films while we have whatever our passion is, and we work at it. And it's like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Maybe we'll be discovered, maybe we won't. But the important thing is that we make the work.
Exactly. And you really did a great service for him. You should be very proud. Thank you very much for the film.
Thank you very much for being one of 4 people who've seen it.
Oh, there'll be more. There'll be more, I
Okay,
promise.
thank
It's just
you.
that screen.
I look forward to your review.
You directed a film called Code Black, am I right?
You're right.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, Code Black's a feature documentary that I directed as a training physician there. It sort of spans the 4 years that I was there and follows sort of myself and my colleagues' experiences and coming in very naive and wide-eyed and being like, yeah, we're going to save some people's lives, guys. We're going to be like real doctors. And then realizing that healthcare is really complicated and that, in fact, as a doctor and as a patient, you know, we both want the same thing.
Yeah.
We want to be in the same room together. We just want to, like, make it work. And the system, in a lot of ways, doesn't allow us to do that. And this is the one exception in LA where we fight for that. Where at a county hospital, we don't care about bills. We don't care about what you make. I mean, we're trying to take care of people who don't have insurance or have crappy insurance that will never be seen as profitable by most of the medical establishment.
So at what point did you decide, I'm going to put on a filmmaker lens, I'm going to tell this story?
Yeah.
At what point did that come to you?
I think when I come from another medical school at the University of Pittsburgh, and when I came out here to sort of witness this hospital and train here, it only took literally the first day I was here, and one night I saw more trauma and more patients than I had seen in a week in another like private hospital, and I went, you know, I don't think Americans understand that this is sort of what's going on here. This is sort of the front lines of the safety net, and it's incredible. You know,
Right,
yeah.
right. Has there been any progress since the film? Any reception that maybe you think could lead to a bigger discussion about healthcare?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I personally, I think Obamacare is in this step in the right direction. But I think my fear about it is that people like sort of combine politics and how they feel about the political climate, and they totally forget about what it's like to be sick. And the reality is, if you talk to anybody who's just really right now tonight needs medical care, you don't want to think about politics. You don't want to think about insurance. You want to call that 800 number on your insurance card and deal with all that crap and find a specialist and go through all those forms. Heck no, man. You want relief. You want a doctor, and that you want the simplicity of that relationship. And interestingly, that's what doctors want too. At least my generation of docs. One could argue that maybe some critical distance would be beneficial for this film. I would say, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to bring you into an entirely new perspective. We're going to show you medicine from basically not just a fly-on-the-wall documentary crew, but we're going to make you one of us. We're going to make you one of our team members. We're going to bring you in as a doctor. We're going to show you what it's like to be in that position and all the fear and all the anxiety that comes with being a young doctor when you're like, oh my God, this gunshot wound's coming at me. I got to do this. I got to do this. It's going to be me. I'm going to fix this. You know, yeah.
Movie clips.
Hey,
how are you?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Great. So, how excited are you for I'm So Excited?
We are so excited.
Very cool.
Come on, it's Pedro Almodovar.
Exactly. I couldn't have been more thrilled when I heard he was opening for the LA Film Festival. And what's your relationship like with him and his work?
Well, speaking personally, he's a filmmaker I've loved for years and years. I mean, you know, he's one of those, he has such a distinct, unique vision. His films, when you watch his films, you know that it's by him.
It's a little bit of a return to some of his earlier stuff, like Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. So it's great to see him sort of, you know, taking turns. Yeah.
Well, I'll just add, you know, we just got back from a retreat up at Skywalker Ranch. I mean, we take all of the directors that have films that are showing at the festival up for kind of a 2-day hangout where they can all meet each other and get to know each other. And then when they come here down in Los Angeles, they actually have begun to form a community. And you know, to kind of see that, you know, begin to blossom here in the City of Angels is a real treat because the filmmakers tend to go to each other's films filmmakers, and they're really supportive throughout, the 10 days of the festival. So I'm really excited to see them interact with each other and experience each other's films.
You directed The New Black. I saw the film. It's really powerful. It's really fantastic. Do you want to talk a little about what made you want to make this film, in particular in the area that you made it?
Definitely. So I started conceiving of the film in the election of Barack Obama in 2008, and when after Barack Obama was elected, and African American community sort of was blamed for the loss of marriage equality with the passage of Proposition 8. I was in California at the time, and I wanted to look at why these two communities were being constantly pitted against each other. What that was about, and so that was the beginning of that was the genesis of the idea. And I also had a feeling that it was an issue that was going to continue, that was going to keep being in the political scene because of propositions and because of our political system. So that's where it started. And I started shooting in 2010, and what's been really amazing for me as a filmmaker is I was able to document really history being made on this issues.
You really explore their lives in such a full way. I'm wondering how you kind of sought out who to follow in this story and how you found them.
Yeah. As it happens in documentary film, in my experience, one character will often lead me to another. So initially, one of my main characters, I found her just sort of through gumshoe reporting and research, and she was someone who had come from the civil rights community, NAACP and People for American Way, and now had chosen to work on the issue of gay rights in the Black community. So I thought she'd be very interesting to look at her work and what she was doing. And then Maryland became the ballot initiative started bubbling up last summer, and so I started documenting the activists who were working on that. And also, too, my gospel singer character is someone that I found who I thought was really emblematic of what was going on in the Black church and how we were casting out people in the church, because of sexuality. So,
what do you hope people take away from this film when they see it?
Well, I think that I hope people take away the sort of inspiration that we are, even if you disagree with with marriage equality particularly, that we as a nation are moving towards greater fairness and equality for all. And it's always a struggle. It's always something that is contested, and that people, we can look, at our history and civil rights, Black civil rights of women, and the gay rights movement is a part of that trajectory. So I hope that it will spark more dialogue on the issue. I hope that it will, for the LGBT community, really begin or continue to look around race and sexuality, which is something that the dominant LGBT community has not historically done. And I hope it will continue to spark conversation, within families, within churches, within communities.
Well, congratulations on the film. It's really very powerful.
Thank you.
The best of luck with it.
Hey, how are you, Nelson?
I'm good. How you doing?
Great. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
What are you excited about this year's LA Film Festival?
The diversity of films that I'm hopefully going to get to see starting with this one. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun to be able to do a comedy, through Groundlings, go through Matt TV. It's only helped. I feel like I have a pretty diverse background. So, and then Hunger Games is pretty dark and serious, but I got to do a really fun character, and I think I can only attribute that to probably my background in Groundlings and comedy. Yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, with the next film, you have Francis Lawrence directing.
Yeah, he's doing the rest of that Mockingjay.
Right. How's that going for you? Is there a difference in tone so far?
I have no idea, because I haven't heard the official word as far as whether I'm in it or not. I think I am. I hope I'm in it.
Are you a Pedro Almodovar fan?
I am a Pedro Almodovar fan.
Very cool. Very cool.
I'd love to. I'm hoping to see him. I think he's catching up to me, so I'm going to move slowly.
It's essentially a road movie, a very funny road movie. It's very personal.
It sprung out of us getting a bunch of wedding announcements from friends of ours and being like, wait a minute, these guys are getting married? You can just get married.
There's no marriage police, unless you're the same gender, in which case that is illegal.
Which is not good.
That's not good.
Yeah, and Matt said that a lot of everything was pretty much scripted.
It was,
which feels so, it's almost astounding because it's so improvisational looking.
Thank you, yeah, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted everything to sound natural, but also have a tight script going in because we were shooting in the middle of the desert and didn't want too many surprises. So our writing process was really collaborative. You can go.
So we outlined the movie, and then we went through it with our actors, and they improvised pretty much most of the key scenes. Then we sort of took notes during the improv and wrote in all their great ideas into the dialogue. So it feels very ad-libby, but it's because they wrote the lines themselves in advance.
Every now and then Matt or Noel will be like, I just really like that line, the way that, I'm like, that's because you wrote it, man.
Absolutely. Well, you're at the LA Film Festival now. What's this experience been like so far?
It's been amazing.
It's been awesome. It's been so awesome. I think we're just as surprised as you are that there's a romantic comedy at a film festival, probably. and we're glad that they embraced that and had us here. So, but they're awesome.
Yeah,
they took us on a retreat up to Skywalker Ranch.
And we met all our co-directors.
Yeah.
And they're all really great.
That's awesome, guys. Well, congratulations on the film.
Thank
Hope
you.
for
Thanks
a good
for
future for
watching
you guys. Yeah.
Thanks. We really appreciate you coming to this.
Yeah. Gerard and Olivia. So you guys directed a documentary, Rain. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's a documentary, Rain. It's about the classically trained ballet dancers of the Paris Opera. And it's actually about a meeting of two worlds of dance, because these dancers are trying to cope with a more contemporary choreography of the Belgian choreographer Anne-Theresa de Keersmaker. And it's about the meeting of these two worlds, about these classically trained dancers in this institute and how they relate with this more modern material.
And it obviously opened up a lot of doors for you. This is your first time in Los Angeles, first time on the red carpet.
Yeah.
What drew you to this material to make a film about it?
Well, we've been working a lot with the choreographer. When this project came up, she asked us she wanted traces of this process, so she asked us to make a documentary, and we immediately said yes. So yeah.
Well, and the experience so far has been how in here?
Yeah, we've been here just one day, but yeah, it's been quite exciting.
This is what happens when you sneak over the red carpet. Security ain't too happy.
Pollywogs is about a guy who, on the heels of a bitter breakup, goes home to Minnesota for a family reunion, and while he's there, he confronts his past and ultimately ends up finding hope for his future.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
What have been some of your cinematic influences in telling that kind of story? Because it's a very personal story.
Yeah, it's a very personal story. In terms of cinematic influences, I guess, I've always been a fan of slow cinema. I've always been a fan of movies that like to tell stories through imagery and through naturalism. Fan of Lars von Trier. In his Dogma days, I think I was obsessed with that period of his filmmaking career. So that definitely had a huge influence on it. But pretty much any director who likes to take their time and likes to sort of watch stories unfold in sort of a fly on the wall kind of way. It's also an improvised movie. We had a rigid story structure, but all the scenes are improvised. And I dropped the actors into the middle of my actual family reunion, and we shot with two cameras, kind of doc style. So,
wow.
So there is this sense of realism, I think, that you can only achieve by doing something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes me question, do you bring the actors into the post-production process when you're cutting everything together to get their perspective?
Well, we're even a little more hybrid than that. We have an editor on set who's cutting while we're shooting. Yeah, which is great. And I rehearsed with the actors for 6 months leading up to the project, because I really wanted people to have their backstories in place and be able to just answer anything at the drop of a hat.
And I'm sure they trusted you by the time that was all.
Oh yeah, we trusted each other, and I act in the movie too, so I was able to kind of steer scenes sometimes when I was acting, just because I knew sort of what plot points we needed to hit in certain parts. So that was also very helpful.
No. We actually read every Taxi deadline. Hi, Guillermo. It's good to
You were so close.
Thank you so much. Do you think Penelope will be a great long run?
That was it, man. We missed him.
No,
I literally had 20 questions to ask. Oh, we got him. He's here. He's here.
He looked right at you.
Yeah, he did. He really did. You know what? I hate his movies now.